Bueno, obviamente me gustaría. ¿sabes?
I want to be here.
Como siempre he dicho.
I want to be a Blue Jay for the rest of my career. But you know, it's free agency, it's business. So I mean, I'm gonna have to listen to 29 more teams, and they're gonna have to compete for that.
We're obviously disappointed to not have gotten that done. Doesn't change our desire. We will certainly be motivated and remain motivated.
Well, what does that motivation look like now? Because February 19th is old news around those parts. Wake up, everybody. If you've been asleep, you've missed a lot of noise and a lot of movement and a lot of money happening. We're here with that morning buzz happening, presented by Geico this morning. Switch and save. Get more with Geico. I'm Zach Aldridge. He's Brandon Baylor. And, of course, that moolah's what we're talking about.
Money talks, and the star is not walking. He's staying in Toronto. You heard Vlad there in February, but today, this morning, his favorite two words, sign here. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has agreed to a 14-year, $500 million extension to stay in Toronto. And yes, it is breaking news bright and early for you. That contract, which includes no deferral, sets the record for largest contract extension in MLB history. The record previously belonged to Mike Trout, if you remember, prior to that 2019 season. That's old news. The 26-year-old coming in the current season with 160 homers, 177 doubles. By the way, a few Silver Sluggers and a Gold Glove on that resume, and 4 appearances in that All-Star game. Outside of that, it is the third most lucrative contract in MLB history. Take a look at it. Look at all that money. Juan Soto, of course, $765 to the Mets. And then Shohei Ohtani, we all thought that was big money out in L.A. with the Dodgers, but there's Vlad right behind him with $500 million and staying put for 14 years with the Blue Jays. For more on this, we're going to bring in our Will Middlebrooks. And, of course, Will, it's all about money this morning. Your thoughts on this 14 years, $500 million going to Vlad?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a huge move for the Toronto fan base, for the Toronto organization. I mean, honestly, this extension kind of resets their clock and positions them to continue to be aggressive spending, right? You weren't sure the direction of this team. And I think they would have been lost directionally if Vladdy had ended up going elsewhere this offseason. I think this shifts the perspective of the Jays, and it removes a massive distraction from this season, and it proves the franchise is willing to sign stars, because we've seen them miss out on Ohtani and Soto.
A few years ago, Will, when we were talking about Toronto, you thought about one of those young teams that if they just keep some of this core together, and so far Vlad is the first domino to fall. What are the next steps for Toronto to keep this core, maybe build around him now after cashing in that money?
Yeah, well, I think Bichette's got to be the next guy, right? I mean, obviously you want to have pitching. Pitching's will be tougher. I think they have the base. Biggio obviously has been shipped off to other places, but you got to get Bichette done. Those are the two main guys there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bichette get 12 to 15 years as well. But I mean, it's not going to be the same type money as Vladdy got. And if we're being honest, I think it's a bit risky at that price point and the length of the contract of Vladdy's season-to-season inconsistencies he has. But they had to make this move. This is for them to contend in the AL East. They need Vlad to anchor in that lineup. Yes, they'll need to build around him, which that's something they're going to have to figure out over the next couple of years, probably big time this offseason, be aggressive. But they just have such a hard time bringing players over the border. They had so many players that's a point in negotiations where they were like, you know what, if you give me X amount of money more, I'll come to Canada and I'll leave here, and that tends to be tough for Toronto bringing guys over.
Well, I'm curious. Take me in that locker room. What does a deal like this do for guys around them? Because you want to see your top guys sometimes get paid, and of course you would think something like this boosts morale there in Toronto. But if you're thinking about this, how does this help the guys around them maybe into the season, getting it done early on instead of later in the year?
Yeah, it's like sometimes the team gets a shot in the arm when the team goes out and makes a trade at the trade deadline, just to show that they care, but that they want to win now. Because sometimes over the last couple of years, you look at this team and they miss out on players because they don't have enough money on the table, or they're not aggressive enough at the trade deadline or with these free agents, and you start to wonder, who are we? Can we compete against New York and Boston now that they went out and got aggressive? It's tough. It's tough. Baltimore's on the rise too. So, look, is Vladdy a perfect player? No, absolutely not. But he's 26. He's Canadian-born. He's a son of a Hall of Famer. He wants to stay in Toronto, which is, I think, really important. Yeah, the money obviously matters. But look, this guy wants to be there, clearly. And they got this done, and they removed a massive distraction from their clubhouse. And now they can go about their business and to figure out the next steps.
You mentioned AL East, of course, at that division there. They're always chasing the Yankees, the Red Sox there, who they are playing, by the way, tonight. You will be there on the call for that game. How does this set them up to maybe get into that top 2 or maybe that 1 spot in that division?
Well, signing him doesn't necessarily make them better this year. They're still the same team they were had they not signed him. So they're going to need to use this to sign other players and say, look, well, we have this anchoring our lineup. He's going to be here for a while. Don't you want to come play with this guy? So they still have some other issues to clean up, and they're coming into Boston facing a team that is really an offensive buzzsaw right now. They've scored a ton of runs over the last week. So this is going to be a tough series, but luckily for Toronto, they have their 1, 2, 3 starters going.
Well, Vlad walking around with those Will Middlebrooks pockets nowadays there in Toronto. As always, Will, appreciate it.
Come on, B.
I got to wake you up. I had to wake you up. I'm just saying, let me hold $1 between you
I
and
got
Vlad.
43 career homers. He does that in a season.
You got a few in your pocket. It's okay. Will, as always, my friend, appreciate you breaking down everything when it comes to Vlad and that breaking news. I want to take a look at it, those odds there. Hey, look, it's early. It's a Monday. We got to wake everybody up. Take a look at it when it comes to it. Yeah, Toronto's not there. So clearly Vegas is like, But they are plus 6,000 to win the title. But in terms of the top 10, they're not there. The Dodgers, of course, still the favorites. The Yankees, Phillies, and Mets, along with those Braves who, got a win not too long ago at 13 to 1.